Shalom and welcome to the Rabbi Avi Show. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Please like, recommend, rate us well, and subscribe to the Rabbi Avi Show. If you appreciate our efforts, please feel free to support us financially through patreon.com/horizontal media. Today's episode is called Beyond the Band Room, the Rabbi and the ER. And my guest is the ER part of that title, Dr. David Dierks. Our story starts in a junior high school band room in Chandler, Arizona. I was a 14-year-old kid on the trombone. He was a new friend from Iowa, growing up on a farm, playing the saxophone. We became fast friends, sharing music and life. But as the title suggests, our story goes beyond that. I've watched David on an incredible journey from a hardworking kid who got me one of my first jobs to an ER nurse, and then taking an uncommon path back to school to become a doctor of osteopathic medicine. He's always been an open, loving, and kind person, someone who has devoted his life to healing on the front lines of emergency medicine. It's an honor to welcome one of my best friends to the Rabbi Avi Show, Dr. David Dierks. Welcome.
Yes, well, thank you, Avi. That was a very nice, succinct introduction. I greatly appreciate it, and it's been great to have you as a friend and know you for many, many years. And thank you for inviting me.
It's good to see you in this arena. So let's just go back in time now. Do you remember what it was like for you as a kid moving from a small farm in Iowa to land in Chandler, Arizona, of all places, and to meet me?
Yeah. It was a challenge. I think I was in fourth grade, I believe, when I first moved out to Chandler, Arizona, and how it affected me, it was just culture shock is a good way to put it. Living on a farm and having nobody around and having to, rely on yourself and family, and maybe having one or two good friends, to being transported to a different place of the country where everybody looks different than you are. Everybody acts different, looks different, and what you once knew as normal is completely different. So it was a challenge for me, for sure.
Ultimately, it seems that helped to shape you and to make you that much more poised to succeed, probably, than many of our friends who just kind of grew up in the same spot. So it seemed to be a huge asset.
I agree.
So Dave, we spent so much time together in the band room, and in those days it was like a culture in and of itself. How do you look back on those musical experiences?
Yeah, they were great. I remember, symphonic band and jazz band and marching band. We're also in chorus together, and all of those times playing music. It's a expression of yourself. You can be able to express yourself in a creative way, but you can also connect with other people on a different level than just talking. And I think that is very important for a human to have those connections with other people in different ways. And I think it brought us together, for sure. And over time, I think it just is a very beneficial thing to connect to people with music.
Do you think it shaped the way you approach teamwork today, especially in high stakes environment like the ER?
Yeah, I mean the ER. I specifically think of marching band and how there's so many moving parts in marching band. There's the flag people, the drum line, you have the director, and I may not be getting all the names right. It's been a while since I've been in marching band, but you have all of these people choreographed on a field, hundreds of people, and so on that scale, it's huge. The ER is not as big, but you have so many other different people really choreographed to perform this task of caring for somebody. And we're not entertaining them, but we're caring for them. And the concept is similar. Everybody has to be working before you can have an optimal result. And just, yeah, it definitely has analogies to each other for sure.
It's really fascinating the way that those things translate into stuff down the road especially in our adult lives.
Yeah.
I've always been so grateful for how you embraced me. We really didn't have any Jewish kids in our school. I was one of the few. And I know you grew up in a Lutheran Christian tradition. I know you're not the most religious person right now, but it was never an issue for you, my Jewishness. What was your perspective on our friendship in that environment back then?
Yeah, I think, I've always been fascinated by other people, other cultures. And I think it just, you being Jewish probably piqued my interest in your heritage and the old world. For some reason, I think the Jewish religion has this old world kind of philosophy. And that interested me. But then I think also at the same time we were in high school, you kind of went through a period where you kind of were against religion. You kind of were questioning your religious background, and which I think many kids do. And I was doing the same. I was doing the same thing, just not in such a dramatic fashion, I think, as you. You kind of were like really black and white when it came to it, where you're questioning your religion. And for me, it was kind of just a slow progression of me losing my religious beliefs, and I think it was at a time where we're both kind of questioning things, and I think that also was what I noticed about our relationship. But it wasn't even a thought, really. I mean, it was a thought, but it wasn't like I think it made us stronger, learning about the Jewish religion and learning more about your heritage.
I appreciate that, and I also appreciate you remembering my struggles at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I did become a staunch atheist during that time, and you were one of those people that we could bounce ideas back and forth off each other. We really talked about everything. It was wonderful to have you in my life at that point, and to keep you in my life. I want to share a memory that means a lot to me. There was a time, and I know you remember this too, there was a time when my family trusted you before you were even a doctor to help care for my papa, my grandfather. What do you remember about that? It always struck me that you had this innate gift for healing and care long before you had the official titles.
Yeah, I felt very honored. I think your grandfather, your grandmother taught me a lot. Believe it or not, they taught me a lot of just living, and it went beyond caring for them and helping your grandfather and helping your grandmother. It was you could tell they were such good people, and that they taught me lessons that they weren't intending to teach me lessons, but just being who they are, I learned from them, and has made me a better person today.
Oh, that's so beautiful. For our listeners, my papa, he was born in 1896, and he lived almost to be 101, and you were there at the end of his life, and so you really, it was for me, it was always strange to have such older grandparents compared to a lot of my friends, but I'm glad to hear that they had such an impact on you. It was took a load off of, I know, my parents' minds to have someone close to our family who was able to lend a helping hand. You, David, you had a successful and vital career as an ER nurse, and as I mentioned, it's not a common path for a nurse to then decide to go all in and become a physician. What was the moment or the driving force that made you say, I need to take this next massive step?
Yeah, I think it was kind of the right place at the right time. I was going through a divorce, and so I was kind of living in the moment for me at the time. I felt like I needed to do something to enhance my identity, my person. And then having my brother say, hey, who was a nurse, saying, hey, come down, work in the emergency room at Banner Desert Sam at the time, the most busiest ER in Arizona. He's like, why don't you come down and work here? And so prior to that, the 3 years that I was nursing, I had no intention of being a doctor, because I felt like I just was not impacting people. Like those doctors and those areas, just, I felt like they weren't, it wasn't as impactful. Once I went to the ER, I knew within weeks that this is a place that I could see myself working for a long period of time. And so I think it was just the right time at the right place that I started working in the ER. I was in a kind of transformational time, and that just kind of pushed me to want to further my education.
You specifically chose to be a DO, a Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I see this as being in tune with healing in a different way. For our listeners, can you explain what that philosophy means to you, osteopathic medicine, that philosophy, and why it was the right fit?
Well, I'll briefly mention the founder of osteopathic medicine. His name was Dr. A.T. Still, and he was an MD in the 1800s around the Civil War. And all his family members were dying from meningitis. And he, at the time, the treatment was to give them mercury, which is toxic if you give it too much. And so that was the only treatment that they had to give for this ailment, for meningitis, which is a serious illness. And so they, the traditional thinking, the allopathic medicine was killing people. And so he kind of used that and started to come up with a way to help people without giving them medications. And that was where the holistic kind of philosophy came from. And he, which is a little taboo these days, but he would dig up bodies and he would put the bones all back together. He would look at all the bones and put them back in anatomical position. And then he started doing that with people that were alive. He would put the bones, the spine, the hip, the skull, all of these things back into anatomical position. And lo and behold, people would start to be cured from their ailments. And they would come from around the country to Missouri, where he was from. And he would do these manipulations on people, and they'd start to get better, and he would be healing people. And so that was the basis of osteopathic medicine, is put everybody back into their anatomical position, let the blood flow where it should, the good stuff go where it needs to go, have the bad stuff leave. And And so that, and that made sense to me. Let's optimize what we have. This body is here. It's beautiful, and it can heal itself. And the tricky part is knowing when to do that and when to incorporate more of the Western medicine and bringing that together. So that's what attracted me to osteopathic medicine.
Are you glad that you went that path?
Oh yeah, yeah. I feel like, and it's been, the allopathic or the MD route has really dominated the medical world for hundreds of years. But I don't know if that's the best way to treat somebody. There were other modalities of healing prior to that, but the MDs kind of pushed everybody out. They pushed all of the homeopathic, osteopathic. They, like, in the 1800s, they kind of pushed everybody out politically because they wanted to dominate. And I think it's been validated that the osteopathic way, it helps people. And our numbers have kind of increased. It's proven to be just as helpful to the human body than other treatment modalities or specialties.
I've seen, and for me, in my role as a rabbi, visiting people in the hospital and seeing how medicine is just pushed on people, and just it's kind of the first resort, it seems, too often. So I really appreciate your perspective as looking at the whole person and what can be done before we kind of just inundate that person with different kinds of meds.
Right.
But I just want to kind of switch gears. How did your years of hands-on experience as a CNA and as an ER nurse make you a different kind of doctor than your colleagues who went straight through a traditional pre-med med school track?
Yeah, I think it helped tremendously, just giving you the confidence and understanding of what the medical system is. A lot of people coming out don't understand how to talk to people in a clinic setting or in just a medical setting, and that's the most important thing, is relationships and talking to your patients, talking to family members about their health, and then also helping them navigate the healthcare system, and giving them your knowledge on how to just put everything together. And people coming out, going right into medicine without that knowledge, they'll get there, but it takes them a little bit to get there, depending on what their background is. And I see plenty of people without any healthcare knowledge, without any family members in medicine, and they struggle for a bit. They do, but the learning curve is steep, and they get there. I had a shadower the other day, and she was in college, and I think she was pretty shocked at what went on in the emergency room, and kind of the fast pace and just the things that we saw. I'm not sure if she's going to pursue medicine after that, but maybe. I mean, we need people, but she was pretty quiet and didn't talk a lot. So
Can be a rude awakening, I'm sure.
yeah,
I'm sure. So you and your wife are both emergency room doctors.
mm-hmm.
What is that like? How do you two manage the stress of that shared profession and support each other at home? Do you have a no shop talk at the dinner table, or how do you do this?
Yeah, it would be impossible for us to do that, to have that. We have to talk about our cases, and that helps de-stress and gets some of these stuff out of our heads. But we've done it. We've been able to navigate it. I think just you need to support each other, recognize that each of us needs support, and from us, from other places, and really try to be there when they need they need help, and but also giving them space to be able to do their own thing. You got to have hobbies. You got to be able to de-stress. I think they say the average lifespan of an ER physician is about 12, 13 years. And then they either retire or usually they move to something else. They do something else. It's a high burnout profession.
I want to switch gears again. I want to kind of directly address what's going on in healthcare and hospitals, and kind of your thoughts on the future of your profession. You've been on the front lines of the emergency medicine for years now. Hopefully, you're not reaching that 12-year burnout point.
It's close. It's getting there. It's getting there.
Both in Arizona, and now you're back in Iowa. What is the single biggest challenge you see facing hospitals today?
I think the biggest challenge is that our healthcare system is being is on the basis is being ran by capitalism, and that just when you have capitalism, which is for a profit, you have the stakeholders all want a profit, and they will do anything for their profit, and that means the care of somebody is going to be navigated by a capitalistic society. That means care will be limited. Things, they don't have the patient's best interest at heart. They have their stakeholders, their CEO, their profit margins. And I've got a million examples that I could give you where it has affected every hospital that I've worked at. And I think and I don't know what the answer is, but because of that relationship, capitalism and healthcare, in my opinion, shouldn't be together.
It's a tough, and I don't disagree with that. And on the other hand, then socialism presents its own problems too. So it's kind of like we all hear about the long lines in countries where they have, even in Israel, they have socialized medicine. In Canada, and then you can wait months and months to get in to see a specialist or something like that. So it's like the whole thing is frustrating, I'm sure, either way. And we don't want people trying to think about profit margins when we're trying to get healthcare, and we also don't want to wait in line. So it's like,
I agree. I don't know what the answer is, but maybe a modified way of managing, like, I don't know, have a closer look at what the insurance companies, what their profits are, what these big hospital companies, like corporations, what is the profit margin? How much can we put a cap on it somehow? Is there a way to kind of do a modified approach to it, where we're incorporating some social, but also keeping some capitalism together? But
is that something that you think that healthcare providers like doctors and nurses think about in their as they're trying to care for patients? Does that come into your mind a lot during your day-to-day? Just like how things are run?
No, no. What comes into our mind is that I've got a sick patient here that nobody wants to take care of because this patient has no insurance or for whatever reason. But a lot of times comes down to this patient is too high a risk. They need this care at this community hospital, but the community docs can say, this patient is too high risk for me. This patient is too complicated. Send them to another hospital where they have the specialist. And that is an accepted practice in our healthcare field, where like a specialist can just refuse care because they're not looking at the insurance, but they can see that it's a complicated patient it's going to cost a lot. It's just going to take a lot of resources at this community hospital, and they're going to defer it to somebody else. And so, and under our laws, we can do that. And there's really no ramifications for that community, for that specialist to say, no, I can't take care of this patient, send them to the tertiary care center. And then this person is stuck in what I call medical purgatory, where they're just stuck in my ER and nobody wants to take care of them. And that's what I see. And that's what is happening.
That's got to be very discouraging. Very discouraging.
It's sad. So it's very important to know people in medicine. If you make relationships with all your doctors, with all your specialists, you want to have, and you want to make those relationships. So when you do get sick or a family member gets sick, you can have that, already in place.
Got to be an advocate for yourself, it sounds like, and it goes back to the band room there, like knowing how to communicate with people.
The system is not going to help you. The system can negatively impact you for sure.
And you said 12 years is the average that ER docs can tolerate what their environment is. Basically, how much is that impacting patient care as well? The fact that people are getting burnt out on it.
Oh yeah, huge amounts. After COVID, 10% of the workforce left. So you take 10% out of any workforce, and what's going to happen? And so you have less people wanting to go into healthcare, and you have resources being cut. It's going to, it's like I said, you want to know your providers. If your family member is in the hospital, you want to be there as much as you can to help, because you don't know who's taking care of them at times. It could be somebody from Texas who's flying in, who's going to be there for a week. All they're doing is working 12 hours a day, and then they fly back home. They have no connection to the community. They're just there to make as much money as they can, and so you want to be there for your family member to make sure that you can be an advocate for them, that you can help, you can watch what's going on, and because it's scary.
You were a part of that for me personally. I mean, just having friendship with you, and we remember, and I mean, you've had illnesses in your family as well. For our listeners, my mother, I just finished saying Kaddish for my mother. She passed away less than a year ago, and before that, she went through a very difficult illness, and she had, I would say, a miraculous recovery. But you were a part of reaching out to and checking in and to see if the doctors were doing the right thing, and you were very gracious. And of course, you've known my mother. You knew my mother for many years as well, and you did what you could do, and we were all trying to do. It was a full-time job just to try to advocate for her care. And
everybody needs to do that. Get onto the MyChart. Talk to the doctors. Call them, message them. Let them know that you care about your family member, that you're there, and those things, because are very important. And they're humans too. But I think if you really show that you're involved in their care, they're going to take the extra effort, and do their job correctly. But they're just, they're humans. A lot of them, again, are burnt out. A lot of them are working extra hours. A lot of them are doing a lot of things that are above and beyond. And so that kind of plays into it. So
How does practicing medicine in Iowa compare to your time in Arizona? What are the unique challenges or rewards of working in a different part of the country? that part of the country, specifically the Midwest?
Yeah, that I can't answer that 100%. I was a nurse at the busiest ER in Arizona, and I didn't appreciate, the overall state of medicine of the healthcare field at that time as much as I do now. And so now I have a different understanding and appreciation, and the resources are different than, Iowa is a rural state. We only have I think we have two level one traumas. I think Phoenix has maybe, just off the top of my head, maybe 6, 7 level one trauma hospitals. And when you have a level one, yeah, so it makes a big difference. Phoenix has a ton of specialists. They have the neurosurgeons, they have the spine doctors, they have all of these specialists, where here in Iowa, you could transfer somebody hours just for the one specialist that we have in the state. And so that I can't, but I can speak more about the current state, at least in a rural state. And it's not good. I mean, it's going to get more challenging because there's going to be a lot of money taken away from these rural hospitals. And they're worried. These hospitals are worried. They don't know what to do. They're not, they're having town hall meetings. They know that they're going to have to cancel services. They know that they're going to have to limit something. They're going to have to take away services that they provided. And they don't know which ones. And so we're all preparing for that.
It feels like the relationship between the public and the medical profession has been under strain in recent years. As a doctor who sees people at their most vulnerable, how do you navigate that, and how do we rebuild that trust?
My input on that is, I guess, the majority of people in the healthcare field, overwhelming majority of the people that go into the healthcare field, are there to help people. It's unfortunately the system kind of changes people, and how that can change people is the sad thing. And trying to, but I would say again, the majority of people want to help people, and
So we should focus on that.
Focus on that. Yeah. And there might be one or two people that you just can't connect with, but try to, I guess I feel that if they're not being if they don't have that caring kind of mentality, it's probably because they've been beaten down by the system, and this is their defense mechanism, because they feel like they can't do what they want to, how they can help people. They're not able to do that anymore because the system doesn't allow them to do that anymore the way that they used to. And so it's probably a defense mechanism. So that's how I rationalize it in my head. If I'm a patient, I'm like, you know what, these are good people. They went into it for a good reason. My mom would say that you got to have faith. That's what my mom would say. You got to have faith.
She's a nurse also.
She is a nurse and religious and faith person. But she would say you got to have faith in your providers. You got to have faith that they're going to be doing the right thing.
That's good to hear. Actually, along those lines, and you've talked about some of the things that worry you quite a bit. What makes you hopeful for the future in your profession?
I believe that we are adapting. We will adapt. We have to adapt. We have to adapt to the environment, the political environment, to the financial environment. I think there will always be caring people that go into medicine. I think we all have to have a little bit of grace, knowing that things may not run as effectively as they once did. But I think we will adapt. Another thing I do see is something that's, beneficial in the horizon is that we are getting more schools that are training what we call our APPs, or Advanced Practitioner Providers, which would be our nurse practitioners and our PAs. And so they are filling a void, at least here in where I live and many places in Iowa, that APP is filling the void of the general practitioner. So where before, let's say 10 years ago, you just couldn't find a general practitioner. And now we're opening a lot of schools, and these schools are educating these APPs to become general practitioners. So now the access to that is really grown over the last 10 years. So that is something that I think we have adapted to. Just one of the examples that we have adapted to, and it's working.
That's really good to hear. Getting deeper into that, how is technology like AI-driven diagnostics or tools changing what you do in terms of day-to-day in the ER?
It hasn't reached us yet in the ER too much. Technology definitely has added a level of complexity with the computer charting and all, sitting at the desk for long periods of time and charting. It has opened up communication between hospitals and physicians, and it has taken us away from the patient. I'm hoping that AI will help reverse some of that and actually be able to put us back into the patient's room a little bit more. It'll take some of that charting, some of that documenting, and at least for the ER physician, and help us get back to the bedside and physically helping our patients. So it hasn't yet helped, but I think it will.
That sounds promising, because you're probably going to be able to speak into something and just tell it all this stuff, and it should do a lot more charting for you, I would imagine.
Exactly. And in real time, it'll be able to generate a documentation of the event, of the visit, without me sitting at a desk typing or dictating. It'll do it in real time. And I think that will translate into more direct patient care.
This is a magic wand question. If you had the power to change one thing about the U.S. healthcare system to fix it for the next generation, what would that be?
Yeah, I think taking politics out of it, and not having the whims of any politician affect how we deliver healthcare. Just removing, having it, if it could be an independent structure that is not governed by profit or politicians, I think
that's
would
beautiful.
If we could do that, which I don't think will happen, but it would be nice.
Well, you never know. You never know. What advice would you give to a young person today? Maybe someone like we were back in high school who is thinking about dedicating their life to medicine. What would you say?
That's a great question. And I think that talking to as many people as you can, talking to anybody in the healthcare field, talking to nurses, to techs, to doctors, researching, reading books, getting as much knowledge as you can, shadowing, if you can. All of these things will help, so you can have an understanding of what you're going to go into. I think if you have that and you're comfortable with it, then you'll be okay. But I see people that go into medicine, go into healthcare, and they did it just for a job, or they did it because they thought they would make money. And they're the ones that just are very unhappy at work. And you can tell it. You can tell that they're unhappy. You can tell that they don't enjoy people. They don't enjoy talking to people. They don't enjoy taking care of people. And you can tell that probably wasn't what they expected. And so if you can kind of do some research ahead of time, it will translate into a much better career for you.
It's good advice. You and I have known each other for well over 35 years. I want to tell you, Dr. Dierks, it's been soothing for me just to know that you're there in the background, even many miles away, but just a phone call away. And I just feel like you and I can pick up the phone and just pick up where we left off. It's one of those friendships. I mean, we've got stories. We've got some, we have scary stories. We have funny stories. We have depressing times. We've shared beautiful, uplifting moments together. Tell me on your end about our friendship.
Yeah, I think, having somebody in your life that for so long, it's a grounding force for me, knowing that, maintaining a friendship is something that keeps you grounded. And, you can get lost in yourself, and at least, and having friends and knowing that it's a safe place to tell my friends things and to, have that relationship and to know that I can call you, at any time, is a comforting, feeling that, we don't expect what that's going to mean 35 years later. At the time when we were in junior high, we just, wanted somebody to ride to school with, or to, go to lunch with, or ditch class with.
We did all of those, didn't we?
Yeah. But over the years, it means way more than that. It's this, kind of connection that I think humans need. And it, to me, it's a, like I said, it's a grounding force, and it, makes me accountable. And, I think I need that.
Well, you really made me accountable when I'd have to be standing outside my house before 6 a.m. and you'd come pick me up in your Dodge or your pickup truck. And we had to be like at school at 6 a.m. in the band room in high school. Anyhow, those are, that's almost, I'm having some post-traumatic stress from from that. But you are such a blessing. And I tell you, we tell each other how much we love each other when we speak. Yes. And there's something about that. After all these years, and this is really a final thought here, after all these years in the ER, seeing humanity at its best and its worst, what's the one lesson you've learned that you carry with you every day?
I still love people. I enjoy people. I enjoy taking care of people. I enjoy holding their hands in the time of need. I think we need these connections, and that human, even though we have all this technology and we have all of these things, we still need human bonding, and it's still there. I still have hope in life and humans, and it is just reassured every day that I go to work. I wouldn't change it. I still enjoy people, and I think there is hope for the human race.
That's good to hear. It's good to hear. And my prayer for you is that you will have the strength to continue helping people along with your dear wife, and that your insight that we've just shared with our listeners will help to create a more prepared environment for patients, and so that we can be partners with our physicians, with our nurses, and with all of our healthcare providers, promote good health, and we promote love for each other and support for each other. So thank you so much, Dr. David Dierks, for gracing us on the Rabbi Avi Show. May you be blessed for many more years to come, and the best of health. And I look forward to giving you a big hug, hopefully soon.
Give you a big hug right now. Thank you,
Avi.
Avi.